for sure.
Cool. So anyway, before we start, as always, how's Melee been since we last talked? What have you been working on? What have you been thinking about? Um,
Uh, I
yeah.
I've been working. I've been working on a lot actually. I was going to message you and say I didn't really have a question. I just wanted to say how well a lot of the stuff that we went over in the last lesson actually worked.
Oh, really? Give me
Yeah.
specifics.
Uh, okay, so I've got a few things written down here, but I played on the weekend, and the biggest thing, and I played during a couple of the weeknights, and the biggest thing that I've just been working on is shooting my lasers as fast as I can.
Yep. That is number one advice to every Falco player. And remember, I told you, like, I tell people to
Yeah,
do this, they don't do it. And then I told you my one friend does it, and he's like, yeah, it just beats everyone.
yeah, no, it's actually amazing, and also shooting more than one laser, either in place or just slightly moving forward,
Yep.
and
Even shooting two or three just changes everything, right?
it instantly changed everything. Like,
Yep. Isn't
to,
that so funny?
to be honest, I played pretty crappy all week, but it's because the way I'm playing now is just totally different.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
when it feels good, it feels like really good, and it just like I think like I was trying to figure out what made it so different, and I think the biggest thing is that one of the things I like to catch people with is something like shield drop laser or something like that.
Uh-huh.
But the thing is, if it's not surprising to them, they just stuff me afterwards.
Yeah.
Like I'm just relying on the laser to be surprising, and then I get a hit.
Which is, not a reliable strategy, of course.
Yeah, but if I get the laser out now, if they just let me get the laser, it doesn't matter whether it was surprising or not. I can just use lasers to get a hit. I force them into a mix-up. It's
Absolutely.
like if they give me the space and I do like a shield drop laser, I can just shoot more lasers. And like I know it sounds kind of silly, but
No,
it is.
I mean,
It does
that's
make a huge
exactly
difference.
it. And people don't do it. And they just don't do it. I don't know why.
Yeah. Now I just need I don't need to surprise them with the laser. I just need to get the laser out.
Yeah, exactly. That's what makes
Yeah.
Falco... Because once you have the laser out, it's like, well, now you are at advantage in some way.
Yeah, so it made a really big difference, and I see the other thing too is that I see a lot more openings like just happening in front of me.
Yeah,
Like,
because what they're doing is... This is all the stuff they were doing preemptively to deal with you potentially approaching. So now that you're just not approaching, it's like, oh, look at this,
yeah, no, it's actually incredible. The thing though that like when I say I play worse, it's because like I'll see something
And then
and
try to
then
punish it or something.
yeah, I'll punish it like incorrectly or like I'll kind of get hit for it or like something like that. But I saw what was punishable,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
like
And normally
that's why.
you're so blindsided by all. It just feels like I can't hit him, and it's because they're doing all these preemptive things.
Yeah, exactly. And like that's why it felt so good is that even though like I was getting hit and it was uncomfortable, it was more just because I was unfamiliar with like
Yep.
how to actually capitalize on it.
That's
But like I
completely
can clearly
normal.
see it.
Yeah, that's it. So a big thing
Yeah.
is, dude, I was watching. Did you watch the Nudes tournament?
I did. I watched the top 8 though only.
Yeah, so I
didn't
saw
catch the rest.
Zoo and Westballs playing, and they both keep doing this thing. Like I think Westballs was doing lasered in place, dash back, shield stop, short hop, turn around laser, or like he was doing no, he was doing something worse. It was like dash back, dash forward, shield stop, laser. It was something like that where it was like literally just way slower than just lasering in place. You
Yeah.
know? Or I saw Zoo do laser, dash, shield stop, laser, dash, shield stop, laser, and I was like, wait, you could have just shot the lasers without that and it would have been like astronomically faster,
Yeah, I've thought about the whole shield stop laser thing before, and then like when I started doing this, I thought about it again, and I realized like I thought it was really dumb as soon as I started thinking about it. But
Yeah, no, it is really dumb. It's literally like Zoo and like a couple other people did it a long time ago, and then like every new Falco player just started copying it. Like if you watch Mango and PP play, do they ever do that?
no,
Like not even once, and there's like a
No.
huge reason for that. It's just literally pointless. I mean, I
Yeah.
understand sometimes you need to shield stop to get like this really perfect spacing, but 99 times out of 100, if you just shot the laser faster, it would have stopped you from getting hit.
yeah, like I see situations where like it would be good, but like not just every time. You know?
Yeah, it's so strange to me that people do that. I want to just like make a public service announcement that's like, don't shield stop laser for no reason. Like,
Yeah.
or almost
Yeah.
at all. Like if there was a player that never shield stop lasered and a player that shield stop lasered a lot, the player that didn't shield stop laser would be doing better like every time.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
those interactions at least. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
That's something I tell Falco. I've been telling Falcos for years and years. So I'm so glad that you instantly saw, like, oh wow, why wasn't I doing this?
So yeah, that's the biggest thing is that I've got that huge and so like when I'm rewatching this VOD, I already like know a whole bunch of places where I'm like, you know what, I would just like now at least I would just start shooting more lasers in certain situations, or I wouldn't have went in, or like that's yeah. So there's a few things that this VOD, like even though it's only a week ago, is kind of outdated, but it's still me versus Ryan Ford. So there's like a lot of things that I
Wait,
think.
what date did you say it was?
Well, like there's a lot of things I can already see that like.
Yeah, but I was just wondering when was the match?
Oh, this is a week ago.
Okay, a week ago. So it was before. Was it before our last lesson?
Yeah, so Monday was the lesson. This was the Sunday before.
Okay, yeah, I remember because we watched you versus Milo, and now we have you versus Ryan Ford.
Yeah. I was debating on whether watching this one or another one where I played a puff, but I think this one's better. I think this one's better to go over.
Yeah, I'm super down.
Yeah.
So was there anything else you worked on that you wanted to talk about, or was that just like the huge thing you wanted to bring up?
That's the biggest thing. The other thing is that my punishes actually have gotten a lot better since all I did was I just focused on which side my shine was hitting on and which side my dare was hitting on, because that seemed to come up a lot when we were talking.
And then that by itself helped.
Yeah, huge. I didn't need to make it any more complicated than that.
Yep. It's so funny, like the things that like I don't know what it is, but like back when I was learning Melee, like 2004, 2005, like this stuff, like all the complex stuff didn't even exist. So it was just like you just do the obvious thing, and that was my basis for the game. It's like no one ever would have done dash shield stop laser. They would just laser. But funnily enough, it turns out that that was the important thing to do. Or like when you were comboing, like, you know, you just, the first thing you learned was, oh, you just wave dash in the direction of the shine, and then you don't worry about everything else. And it turns out that, again, being able to just do the standard combos off that is probably more impactful than being able to do all this other stuff, you know?
Yeah, for sure. But, I mean, it's just stuff you kind of forget about as you play the game more, you know?
Yeah,
but yeah,
like,
I totally agree with you.
This is the important stuff. This is like what makes it work, you know?
Yeah.
So, let's see. 25-20, I think you said?
25-40, but yeah, 25-20, 25-40, around there.
Cool. Okay, so this is Ryan Ford's Fox then?
Let's
see it.
Yeah, it was a money match, so he played Fox.
I'm curious, what's your impression of Ryan Ford in the matchup?
He plays really, I don't want to say, you know, he plays kind of old school.
He does.
Like,
but old school could mean different things, you know?
Like, he full hops a lot, is kind of my impression.
He plays every matchup with a lot of full hops and double jumps and platforms. So, you know in the Falco matchup he's going to, right?
Yeah.
So, funnily enough, have we talked about threats much? I know we've talked about it at least a little. Just
a little.
Threat range and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I'm open to hearing whatever you have to say.
Okay, so a big thing I want to point out is that one of the downsides to like all the vertical Fox play isn't a downside to Fox, it's a downside to how people use it. And it's that a big thing is players who tend to full hop a lot tend to full hop even in ranges that aren't useful for interaction with the opponent. And I think we've talked about this, but your position is only as good as your threats are. So do you remember we talked about, what was the situation? It might not have been you, but there was someone who there was like a Fox near a top platform on Battlefield, and they put themselves from a position where they couldn't be hit into a position where they could be hit and couldn't hit the opponent anymore. Does this sound like something we talked about or no?
I'm not really sure. I don't think
it might not have been us then. I'm just vaguely remembering. But the point is, there's this concept that like you don't want to like do something where you do a movement that makes it impossible for you to hit your opponent. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like a very common example of this is, let's say you both spawn on you spawn on Yoshi's story, and one spawns on the left platform, one spawns on the right platform. Or like, let's say Falco's lasering on the ground on the left side, and Fox is on the platform on the right side. One of the worst things Fox can do, yet every Fox does, is jump from the side platform to the top platform. Mm-hmm. And the reason it's bad is because as soon as you full hop on the side platform, you have no way to hit Falco. But if Falco reads you jumping to top platform, then he just shines you, right?
Yeah.
So, like, this is actually very, very common for foxes who are very quote-unquote jumpy or, like, vertical heavy. Is that they're so vertical heavy that they do it even when it's a bad idea. And I think if you watch Ryan, I'm sure you've seen, like, Ryan Ford versus PP, the famous
Yeah.
Yeah, and PP beats him real bad, right? And
Yeah.
the reason for that is because a lot of what Ryan Ford does, like, doesn't really have any immediate threat. So what PP does is he just moves into a spot where he's like, okay, well, if you attack me here, if you jump here, you can't do anything. And then Ryan Ford does it anyway, and PP's ready to, like, capitalize off of it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
So I just wanted to bring it up before we even watch, because it's very relevant.
Yeah. I think Ryan's really good.
No, he is very, very good.
When I play him, though, like, compared to other, like, super top players, like, that are top 30 level, it doesn't feel as oppressive, you know?
He's kind of... a lot of Ryan Ford's playstyle is he does a lot of things that are pretty safe for him, as long as you don't super hard read it. And then what happens is a lot of people think they can punish it in certain ways, but Ryan knows his way around those situations. This is kind of what I was saying. It's like the top player thing, where they play the situations they are good at, as opposed to the situations that are good for that interaction. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
So what Ryan does is, he's way better at the vertical shenanigans than most of the players he's playing. So what you'll frequently see is, like, he'll jump, and then he'll double jump. And then, like, a player who's, like, only top 50, top 60, they'll be like, oh, I think I can, like, hit Ryan out of the air, and they full jump up to hit him. And then Ryan, like, double jumps, drifts out of the way, and then gets back down to the ground before them, and then jumps under them and hits them. So it's like they get tricked a lot. But it's not because he's explicitly only trying to trick you. It's just he knows his way around these interactions way better than you. It's like the kind of, like, wily old veteran thing, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's very clear that he's familiar with these situations. So, like, in order to do well versus him, you either have to understand these situations as well as him, or you have to just not interact with them. But frequently, for the vertical thing specifically, you can just not interact in ways that are unfavorable for you. Because he's not actually threatening in those spots. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So let's see this. By the way, do you remember, did we talk about the mix-up here when you throw him off stage?
I don't think we did.
I don't think so either. So have I talked to you about run-off double jump dare?
No.
Okay, so why do you forward smash here? What does it beat?
It beats him not sweet spotting and jumping immediately.
Yeah, it beats him jumping essentially as fast as he can towards you, right?
Yeah.
So if he waits and falls low and double jumps to edge like this, have you ever seen the Falco do the run off low and then double jump downer?
Yeah, the first thing I think of actually is, like, PP versus Hacks. He got him, like,
PP versus
3 times
Hacks
with
from
it.
from MLG or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's a very good mix-up with Falco, and it's really, really good versus, like, Falcon especially, for example. Because Falcon has less options. Because, like, so the difference between Fox and Falcon here is that Fox can double jump backwards in up B or side B, and it's still a viable mix-up. But Falcon can't really double jump backwards and then recover, because he's kind of just screwed if he does that, right?
Yeah.
So Falcon kind of has to more deal with somehow jumping onto stage immediately or grabbing the edge from his double jump. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. So I'm not saying you should have done this, but I'm just telling you, had you done it, that would have been a stock.
Yeah. It would have basically covered the same things, too.
That's not true, actually. Because if you do run off double jump dare, he could just double jump up air and it would just hit you. Or double jump drill and just hit you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So the forward smash stops the immediate jump. But if you have to run all the way off the edge, the immediate jump would allow him to hit you.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this. Which side of the shine did you hit on here?
The left, and
Exactly.
I just kept wave dashing forward.
Well, the problem here is you could have aimed it to hit with the right if you had wanted to.
Okay, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's not that you should have wave dashed the other way, because there's nothing to go on there, you know what I mean? You just wanted to aim it, ideally, so that you, So you dashed forward immediately and got this. What you should have done is delayed it, or dash dance for a bit, and then done the same exact thing you did, and then when you got here, essentially, I wanted you to be here when he was at this height. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. My first thought was, like, I should have wave dashed more down, but it makes more sense to make your shine hit the other side.
Yeah, exactly. Because if your shine hits on the other side, and you hit... So the thing is, from here, you can't really waveland on the platform, right? Which is why it's tricky. But what you can do is, Fox is going to fall to about here before he's at a stun, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what you
Yeah.
can do is kind of jump really deep and be in the kind of lower center part of Fox down here. So he's going to fall to about here before he's out of stun, but his feet are going to be kind of down here. So then you jump and hit this part, and then that lets you waveland on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's kind of how you want to do that. Because if you had hit on the other side, you would have hit here, and then if he DIs left, at least he kind of ends up in this area. So then you would have wavelanded on and then been able to jump back off. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Did you see Mango versus Plup at Shine last year?
Yes.
That combo
combo is so sick.
Not just that combo. That combo route is very, very easy to do, and it only happens when kind of foxes don't know how to DI the Falco combos well. And it was that's actually, like, the combos Mango was doing were, to me, very, very standard / obvious combos. But most people just don't realize how easy it is to just hit on the right side of the Shine and then carry them from top. So you kind of go from top to side, they DI this way, you go, or you go side to top, they DI here, you go top to side, you hit them again, and then you either kill them off stage. So it's like you go back and forth until they DI off stage, and then you do like a Nair down smash or a Nair run off double jump dare, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's actually pretty easy to do. And this combo route's pretty common, but a lot of people mess it up. Oh, that sucks. So I feel like here, like, it just felt like you weren't really ready to play the interaction.
Yeah, I might have. I'm not really sure. I think I was trying. I should have just been holding down and ready to shine.
Yeah,
but
if you thought he was gonna Nair. But also, you know, it looks like kind of like you had the idea of, I want to dash dance out of the way of what he's doing. But look how you timed the dash dance. You like dash forward, dash back, and then you're getting hit. So you should have maybe done dash back, dash forward, for example. Or maybe you should have sat there for a second and then dash back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this is a perfect example. Remember how we talked about PP? And I was telling you, it's like he kind of knows the range of the attack, and he's just like, oh, I just know you're going to attack here. I'm just not going to be in that spot, or I'm going to do something about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, PP versus Ryan and Hacks on Battlefield, he obliterated both of them in a very similar manner, because they both just did a bunch of things that were like, well, the threats were really obvious, so PP just accounted for, like, the most immediate threats, you know? And then they did a bunch of things that weren't threatening, and PP just read them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So if you watch those, actually, are you down to watch them real quick?
Yeah, for sure.
They're very short games, so...
Yeah.
I want you to notice that... oh, whoops, I typed in Drug Fox. I've been searching myself today, so that was bad. Let's see. Yeah, let's see this. I just want you to remember the concept. Look at that situation right now that you just came down in. It felt like you knew he was going to Nair at you, and you still died. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Like, were you thinking about the Nair there, or not really? Like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but to me, this sequence to you and the spacing makes it look like you're kind of aware that he can attack you with, like, a shuffled area.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I knew specifically in there, but I knew he wanted to run at me. Or, like, I had that feeling.
Okay, you knew he was going to attack this area, right?
Yeah.
Okay, suffice to say. So now, watch this. I want you to go into this knowing that PP knows Hax is going to Nair into that area. Whatever that area it might be, okay?
Okay.
So let's watch, is this the game? It's not the game, but we can still watch it, honestly. It doesn't really matter. It's the same concept. I want you to remember that PP is just kind of like looking for this area where Hax is kind of... It's almost like Hax is just fidgeting about until he can get to the spot where he thinks he can Nair you. And I want you to watch how PP spaces and moves around Hax, okay? So... let's see once they get more into neutral and PP's not just destroying him. So first of all, let's look at this respawn. Do you see how easily PP navigated Hax's attacks on the respawn? Let's look at this. See, it's just like he's not in the zone Hax is trying to hit, like, almost ever. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Or here's another one. Look at this one. So, look at this. Look where Hax was trying to attack.
Yeah, it's just...
doesn't really make sense, right? But it's like... Hax is trying to attack this area because PP's kind of near it, right? He's trying to attack right here. PP just jumps, sees Hax, he's like, okay, I'm just going to move around your Nair. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So let's keep watching, though. Pretty bad dash attack. Look at this back air from PP, though. See how that perfectly covers the zone where Hax could have nared into him?
Yeah.
So, do you kind of see what I'm pointing out, or not really?
No, I see. Yeah, like
it's
basically, Hax has to wait it out and then look for like what he's gonna do.
Yeah, at least if you're looking to just nair or something, it's like, or like even here, look, PP's just shielding. Or he does the bear, right? Actually, so he's shielding, he does the bear, and then look, Hax tries to nair him, PP's spot dodging. I'm not even, so PP doesn't even always have like the cleanest solution. It's just like he's always just accounting very clearly for. Oh look again, look at this. Hack's probably meant to short hop, not full hop, by the way. Well, actually, let's look when PP's in the corner first. So look at this. See, Hax is just naring, and PP's not even like thinking of it. He's like, okay, well, I'm gonna wait. Okay, you did your nair. I'm gonna laser you now. Do you see this? Look here.
Yeah.
Look at this dash dance range. Hack's probably meant to short hop, like I said, but look at it. See, it's just like he just moves out of the way, you know?
Yeah.
So I think and he makes it almost look really easy, but I actually think it is kind of easy as long as you understand how Fox can attack you. So this is the first time I see PP clearly get hit when Hax is going to attack him. And that's because I think PP tried to move forward, actually. But funnily enough, if he just kept doing what he was doing before, that would have worked fine. Do you see that? It's kind of funny, like, Hax hasn't even changed all that much, right?
He's just doing, like, fade back nair.
Yeah, or there he did approaching nair, right? But it was like... Oh, again, look, Hax tried to run in, so what did PP do? So, you know, have you played Fox players that just try to forcibly run at you and just power shield your laser?
Yes.
So what does PP do? Just short hop and then put the bear out because he knows Hax is going to attack him. Do you see this?
Yeah.
So let's keep watching until PP gets his next hit. I just want to see how PP hits him. What a funny interaction. Anyway, you got the idea, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's watch this one. And you saw what I was talking about, right? Like, he's just very cognizant of where Hax wants to attack, right?
Yeah, he's... As soon as Hax gets in the place where he could do a short hop nair, he just defends.
Or like something, or just run in shield. He's like accounting for it somehow, right? Mm-hmm. How exactly... Oh, look! Perfect example. Look at this. So, I'm going to go back a little bit. Look where they are. So, oh, look, it's the nair range. So, let's watch what PP does. I'll even put it in slow-mo. See?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, you're going to nair at me. I guess I'm going to do the thing that beats the nair, you know? And that's kind of how I felt when I watched that interaction from you. It was just like, you could have just done the thing that beats the nair, you know? But you kind of didn't really have like a clear idea in your head, in my opinion, of how to...
Yeah.
Oh, look, again. Look what happens. Do you see that?
Yeah, you just
it's
moved
just
away.
It's kind of the same thing. It's just like, oh, Ryan's going to nair at me. I'm going to move out of the way. So let's watch this. So let's see how PP avoids him. Moves out of the way of the nair. Okay, this is a perfect example. Look what Ryan did here. So he tried to jump shine and then double jump away. But as soon as PP sees the shine, it's like, well, you can't hit me anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So now that you can't hit me, PP's like, oh, well, I'm just going to read your escape option. Bam. And then it's like, well, now you're, you know, kind of screwed.
Yeah, and if Ryan had just like jumped straight up or not drifted that way, like there's really nothing he can hit PP with meaningfully.
Yeah, exactly. So PP takes advantage of the fact that there's nothing really for Ryan to hit him with. Oh, look again. Ryan tries to read Falco on the platform, and all PP did was just move out of the way. He didn't even like really like do anything special. It's just he was planning on shooting him, but while doing it, he was reacting, and he's like, "Oh, I know lots of people try to hit Falco on the platforms, right?"
Mm-hmm.
So do you see how that like paid off or whatever? It's just like very easy. And again, it is actually this easy, even versus a player of like Ryan's caliber, of just like being able to move out of the way and react and put moves in the right spots is like not an easy skill, but once you can do it, it's just like, yeah, that's actually... Also, did you notice which side of the shines PP was hitting on every one of those?
Yeah.
It's kind of what we've been talking about. And I mean, I know you know that, and lots of people know it, but look at it. They're not always actually good at doing it. Like,
Yeah, it's like something obvious in front of your face, but...
Yeah, like we said, tons of people know about this, but how many people actually execute it, right?
Even when PP dropped 2 laser and then Ryan did the like full hop onto the platform that you were just saying. I feel like I know that situation. I've done it before, and the thing I've thought is like, oh crap, my laser didn't hit. Like,
yeah, it shouldn't be like that at all.
I should have been considering, hey, like, I'm gonna drop through, and if he's on the ground, the laser will hit, and if he jumps up there, like, he's just gonna whiff.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like a simple thing, but I definitely need to consider it more.
I agree. So now, going back to this, let's watch this corner interaction. And it should look very bad to you in terms of how it feels.
Yeah.
Because you see, you were perfectly in that range. You fell down instantly. It's like the same thing. Imagine if you just did a dash away short hop bear, turn around laser, and then grab, just like PP did, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And since you're in the corner, maybe you want to fight for your space a bit more. You could have just done a down air in place or something, you know?
I actually feel like I could get like just a short hop laser.
Oh yeah, you definitely could have just
in place.
Don't get me wrong, you could have just done that.
Yeah.
You also could have just like full jumped to the middle of the stage. I don't know if you would have considered that.
Yeah, I could have done that.
And you see how easy that is? You would have just done dash full hop and you'd just be out. He would have nared into the corner, you would have full hop to the top, and then you could have done like drop through laser.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Yeah.
And like you said, you could have been holding down. I mean, there's like a variety of things you could have done. But I just wanted to point out how like easy that can be for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you just moved out of the way there. Okay, nice. Oh, I dropped your combo. I think there's... Oh, sorry. There's no reason to do that F smash non-reactively.
Yeah, I actually... In my head, I'm pretty sure I thought he's going to shield and roll. But then that F smash doesn't cover it at all, so...
Yeah, so it's just like... It's just nonsense, right?
Yeah. And it would have just been better to do a different move.
I agree. Also, it's kind of funny if you just watch what Ryan's doing. It's not that different than what he was doing versus PP, right? Look, he's like short hop nairing a bunch, right? Just like Hax and Ryan were doing. And look, he full hops nairs onto the platform. Like, yeah, obviously the situations are slightly different, but it's like a lot of the same exact things, you know?
Like, if I'd been ready for that second short hop nair, if I'd been PP and I'd been ready for it, I could have just gotten a punish.
Oh,
but
yeah, absolutely.
Like, I was not in range to get hit by it, but I was still shielding. Like,
but you weren't ready. You see this?
Yeah.
And it's like you clearly thought about it and you moved out of the way, but there's the difference between being ready and just making sure nothing bad happens to you and being ready and just hitting him for it. Or like, because there are ways to hit him for this that weren't very risky for you. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. I'm not telling you to go out of your way to hard read it, but it's like if you're going to account for this option, you can account for it in a way that gets you a hit. That maybe isn't so risky for you. So it's kind of funny. Oh, I'm surprised you back aired instead of down aired.
I think I thought he could hit the edge if he was like really...
No, he might have been able to. At this point,
Yeah.
I would have just F-smashed then.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, once I saw you jump, I thought you were going to down air. But otherwise, you should have just F-smashed him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. Give me one moment, actually. I'll be right back.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm back.
Yep.
I kind of feel bad, actually, because now that I'm recording these, it's like so many of these lessons are going to look like just like top player blow-ups.
Oh, like you...
Oh,
Sorry,
it's
what
gonna
do you-
be like, oh look, he's just like saying Hax is awful or something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but like it's
Yeah.
not like that. But like when I analyze Melee and PP's doing these things, I have to point out like going into it, PP literally knows okay, Hax is just kind of gonna try to nair at me,
Well, you picked a set that Hex got destroyed in, so I mean, you would assume he's doing bad things.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the whole point was to show the bad things, right?
Yeah,
It's just kind of funny. I just was thinking about that. But yeah, anyway, it's like kind of interesting. You see how it's not that you're not aware of what Ryan's going to do, it's that you don't really have good ideas or plans for how to directly deal with it.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. What did you think Ryan was going to do here?
Like after the illusion, or when I
Yeah,
grabbed
I'm asking, if I just ask you to hard read guess what Ryan's going to do when you go for this side B edge cancel, what do you think he's going to do?
I figure he would try to back air me.
Okay, so if he's going to try to back air you, is there a way for you to just hard counter that and get a hit off of it?
I could have fast foul back aired myself.
Okay, fastball back air, but then you might have traded, hard to say. What else could you have done?
Shielded?
Yeah, shielded, and then it would have pushed you off, and then you could have done something, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you could have even shined him out of the startup of his move, right?
Yeah, that's true too. Just on an instant shine.
So, interesting. I'm not saying you should have done those, but I definitely think there's this concept that, like, if you know what your opponent's going to do, you should probably do something about it, right?
Yeah, my only thought was to jump away.
Exactly. And that's kind of how it felt to me based on watching you a bunch. It's like your kind of immediate thought is always just like, it's not specifically that it's the safest thing, but it's often just the most immediate solution to you to the situation, as opposed to thinking deeper about like, okay, well, what if I know what he's going to do? How do I beat it? It's kind of the same thing as all the other situations, you know? So like, yeah. I think you could have reversaled him here. Because right here, look how close he is to you. I think you could have easily shined him out of that or shielded it. It would have pushed you off and then you would have back aired him or shined him, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, again, that this was the only right option, but I just think that if you were a player capable and you're clearly smart enough to know what he was going to do, then you can take advantage of that. Of course, he could get tricky and not go for that, in which case your double jump is a safer option. But it sounds like you kind of expected him to do it, and then he did do it, right?
Yeah. I think actually something I'm kind of realizing, just like the last two things you pointed out, is that when I'm rewatching my own VODs, I should be looking at like openings I've already, like things I'm already just avoiding, or an opening that I'm already making, but I'm just not doing anything about it.
And of
like,
course,
yeah.
I mean, hindsight's 20/20. So it's not like I'm telling you, oh, you should have known everything. I'm just asking you, what do you think you thought in the moment? Like, when you do that side B edge cancel in that moment, aren't you actually expecting him to go for the bear or nair?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, of course those expectations can be dangerous because if the other player's also smart, they can, like, outthink the situation, right? It's not like he had to do that. So if you tried to shine, maybe he could have ran past you and done a delayed back air and then you would have just got hit, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying these are foolproof, but I'm saying that at least you should use your current knowledge and ability of the game. Like, with how good you currently are and how good Ryan currently is, I think you could have easily outplayed that option.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm not telling you to be psychic or, like, hindsight's 20/20. Don't just say, oh, I should have done this. But you definitely should take what you expect to happen and take advantage of it to some extent.
Yeah, I think it's just mostly that I know myself I didn't consider it, you know?
Look at this. You actually did the same exact fadeaway laser PP did.
Mm-hmm.
Look what you did.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying your option was bad, but isn't it interesting? This time, not only did you account for his option, which you were doing before, but you actually outplayed it in a way that was identical to PP. Like, you literally did the exact same thing PP did, and then you just didn't grab him for it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
So what do you think of that?
I mean, like, I could do that more. Like, I know I can do it.
Yeah.
And, yeah. But, like, yes. Yeah, so stuff like that, like, I should just look for when I do that, and how can I make that happen whenever I dash back? Because I know there's other times where I'll do a dash back like that, and I didn't stuff it the same way.
Of course,
even
they're all different.
Even after
but I think it's interesting to see that not only were you sometimes not ready, but even when you were as ready as possible, you still weren't ready enough. Do you see this?
Yeah.
And that's the difference, between you and PP. PP would have got the grab, and then Ryan wouldn't have DI'd the throw properly, which is bad on him. And then PP would have gotten a big combo. I also think that there are some other mix-ups you can go for. For example, you can do dash jump shine here. I think that's pretty strong. Grab is just a guaranteed combo. Dash jump shine's pretty good. I think the dash dance is pretty good too. So don't get me wrong, this wasn't bad. Also, tell me if you think run off double jump dare would have worked here.
It probably would have.
Yeah, so interesting now. Both times you've gotten Ryan off stage, if you had done this mix-up, he would have literally died.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying you should have done it because you can't be psychic, but you can think about whether it's worth the risk reward for you. And it's certainly worth doing sometimes, right?
Yeah, and he definitely does it more than that in the set. Like, he just... When I remember the set, even during it, I even thought I'm not covering his just double jump to ledge.
Yeah, look at this one.
He gets away with all the time.
Look at this. He did the same exact recovery, right?
Yeah.
Remember, did you see when PP did run off shine? When Hax, I think, was trying to grab the edge?
Mm-hmm.
Did you remember that, or did you not notice it?
In the little clip that we watched?
Yeah. There was a spot where PP hit him off stage and then kind of ran off and shined him for trying to double jump to the ledge.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Okay, I forget if it was Hax or Ryan, but it was essentially the same type of situation. And then you just kind of let him grab the edge for free.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously there's a lot of things we could talk about. But I just want to talk... Let's actually talk about this. I wasn't going to. This up tilt is a very classic Falco thing. After Falco side B's here, Fox doesn't have enough time to hit him. Every Falco pretty much shields, spot dodges, or up tilts.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all good mix-ups. But again, they're only mix-ups. You have to do other things. So for example, would you ever consider forward smashing here? Or down airing at them?
No, not really.
Have we talked about stuff like that at all, or not really?
I think you kind of talked about it once, where it's like sometimes forward smash is a good place, like instead of doing a roll or something.
Yeah, it's just the idea that, like, right here, have you played people who just run up and wave dash in place and try to bait your spot dodge or up tilt?
Yeah.
So if they're willing to do that, then you should be willing to hit them for it, you know?
Yeah. Actually, what Ryan does, like, he just full hops here, right?
Uh-huh. So what could you have done about this?
Well, I could have waited it out, or I could have just dashed back. Like,
okay, so you could have just dashed on wake up. You could have also full hop bared as a hard read, and then that would safely put you on the top platform afterwards, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you could have just dashed. You could have waited. You could have full hop bared. But just having the idea of that you need to do mix-ups in these situations, not just on wake up, but after a side B, just after a lot of things. Essentially, any time they can't get a guaranteed hit, like even when they can get a guaranteed hit, some people don't go for it. So you have to like actually mix up what you're doing,
Yeah.
Nice. That shouldn't have happened. Ryan was bad, but
yeah.
Good job calling it out. So interesting here. When I saw this, I was 100% sure Ryan was going to full hop. Let's watch this. Right here, I knew he was going to full hop.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, that's because it looked a lot like the side B situation. Look at this. He doesn't have enough time to punish the roll, so he knows you're going to look for spot dodge or up tilt, or maybe even run away, so he's going to try to chase you. The way he did it wasn't even that good because it lost to the laser. But that dash dance grab could have been spot dodge, by the way. I wasn't sure if you
were. No, it definitely could
But you could have just been confident in your laser and then converted off of it. Like, what if you just done dash jump shine right now?
Yeah.
You see it? But also,
I should know the laser's gonna hit.
Yeah, you should just know. But also, do you see why I said Ryan was gonna full hop here?
Yeah, because it's like...
It's pretty clear to you, right? It's the same type of situation. You're kind of in lag, but not enough lag for him to punish, so he wants to take center back and still pressure you, right?
Yeah.
And he tries to chase you down. Again, he probably thinks it's going to catch you moving away, but it can't even do that, which is why Falco's so good. He even tries to guess you're going away, and it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you could have just hard read this full hop if you wanted. But again, I agree with your option. Your option wasn't wrong. I'm just pointing out to you that you could have done...
Yeah, and once I did it, I should have been confident that it was going to, or at least been ready to convert off it.
Yeah. And look at this situation here. Ready? Watch this. Look what he does.
Yeah.
that wasn't even close to hitting you as long as you did literally anything. But you're so busy doing other things that you're not ready to punish him for what he's actually doing. So what Ryan's been doing, and Hacks did in the video, and what Ryan did in the video, is they do a bunch of attacks that just have no real chance of hitting. So like you see this attack?
Yeah.
This reminded me a lot of when Ryan full jump nared onto the side platform versus PP. Remember, because PP was just dropped through lasering, and it still wasn't there in time. Do you see that?
Yeah, this is actually a situation where I think I almost certainly would have shot another laser now. Like, I would have just done 2 lasers.
Yeah, exactly. And then you would have just shot another laser, he would have landed, and then you would have pressured him somehow, right?
Yeah.
Which would have been great. But honestly, you could have even just hard read it. Like, you could have just short hopped in place, and he would have nared in front of you, and then you would have down-aired him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Or like you could set up a back air or a run under him with a back air, or you can dash dance with punish with grab, or get ready to CC shine. I mean, you could do a lot of things. I'm just pointing out that, look, he did it again. Like, this is not good Fox Falco neutral, from his end.
Yeah.
But, like, he's kind of getting away with it because what's happening is he's kind of using it. So what it actually is, it ends up being a free way for him to get in. So all he does is he throws out an attack, gets as close to you as he can, and then he outplays you in the next interaction. But that doesn't mean though he's actually like doing something impressive and neutral to like outplay you cleanly. He's just trying to get close to you in any way he can. But the way he's getting close to you is very, very punishable, which is the problem with it. And as we saw versus PP, it does get him punished very, very hard.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not even punishing him for doing it, then he's going to kind of get away with it. You see what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And then once he, gets away with it, it's easy for him to outplay you because, Fox actually does beat Falco in these up-close interactions afterwards.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, is like he's gonna keep doing it as long as it keeps working. Even
absolutely. But even when it doesn't work, I think this is his primary strategy versus Falco.
Okay.
Like, look at this. Almost the entire match has been him just jumping towards you with aerials. Do you agree?
Yeah.
And I just don't feel like that should really be that effective versus Falco at all.
No.
I actually think it's very common for Fox players to not be very strong in the Falco matchup. And I think if you have the basic fundamental skill set that we've talked about with like understanding how to use lasers and what you're reacting to and understanding threat ranges and stuff, it's actually quite easy to beat most of these players.
I was gonna say too that like when I played Milo, it was a lot more like, I don't want to say like threatening, but like it kind of was. Like I knew he could move between lasers a lot faster than it felt like Ryan could.
Yeah. Well, it's not that I think he's faster, it's that Ryan's not even trying to move between them. He's just circumventing everything and just jumping, which is very slow with Fox. And then he's just hoping he beats you afterwards.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. So, anyway, yeah, I think if you just watch, though, like PP and Mango play against Fox players who are considered a little weaker versus Falco, you'll just see them decimating them so easily. Because it's almost like everything they do is extremely telegraphed. It's just that, just like the low-level Foxes, the only difference is the higher-level Foxes play better afterwards, generally. Or, like, don't die as easily or have better punishes. Like, have you seen, like, Mango versus Ice, where Mango, like, classically is considered to just, like, never have any chance of losing to Ice?
Yeah, I'm thinking the Big House, or Ice got third.
Yeah, and then Mango beat him really easily, right? Mango doesn't even play well versus Ice in that set. It's almost comical at this point, and the reason for that is just because all these kind of high-level Fox players, and they're like, but these players are so good, why can they just not, beat Mango or PP or whoever? And it's like, well, because all they're doing is just like full-hopping at them randomly and hoping it works. They're just like spamming attacks and hoping that they like cheese them afterwards. But it's not like, all Mango does is space his lasers and space some back airs, and then Ice never hits him.
Yeah, I remember he even like counterpicked Yoshi's or something, which is something he doesn't do against really many Foxes anymore, and he was just like holding shields.
Yeah, but it's a terrible pick, but he's probably just like, I can just do this and it'll be easier, right?
Yeah, it's like make Ice actually do something around me.
Yeah, and I think pretty much no Fox player is actually very good at this matchup at all, and that's why like when I was maining Falco, I was very excited to play Fox mains in tournament, because I was like, oh, this is like a free win. Like, I literally think if you understand these basic traits about Falco and you can execute on them well, like, pretty much almost every Fox main in the world is a free win for Falco. Should it be that way? Probably not. And there are some Fox mains that are quite good at the matchup, don't get me wrong. But I think it's much more common for the Fox players to play kind of like Ryan does, or how Ice does, or how Hax does, where they're just kind of struggling to hit you in this very linear way. Because they're not really willing to play the nuanced interactions of dashing in between the lasers, and then like getting really good power shields, and like switching between using platforms and ground movement really well, and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's funny because Ryan talks about how Falco just destroys Fox.
Oh yeah, that's totally unsurprising to me. Because I think the way Ryan plays, Falco does destroy Fox. Absolutely. Like, if you play the way Ryan plays, that matchup is like nearly unwinnable. Now, is there a better way to play it? Yeah. Does Falco still win? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know who wins, but that's not really the point, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I just thought it was funny
No,
the
it
way,
is really funny.
because I just remember him talking.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised at all that he believes that, because you know, the way you play represents your game understanding, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
It is unsurprising to me. So, you know, if you watch like a top Falco fight Silent Wolf, for example, like from a while ago, like it's very similar. And when I played Silent Wolf, it was very similar. If you watch like Mango or PP fight Ice, it'll be similar. If you watch but then if you watch like someone fight Lucky, suddenly it's really different. There are lots of weaknesses Lucky has in the matchup, but on a fundamental level, he's not like using this strategy that like you see how Ryan and Hax actually look quite similar in terms of what they were trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the way PP beat them was similar. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. And I think if you watch Lucky, even if like a Mango or a PP beat Lucky, it looks vastly different how they beat him. Because it's based on totally different things. And I think that's because Lucky has figured out a better approach to fighting Falco. Still not perfect, obviously. I mean, none of us are perfect. But you kind of get the idea, right?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so I think that is definitely interesting to think about. And I recommend, you know, you watch some of that and figure out the trends for like how these Falco players are able to consistently beat the style of Fox, you know?
Yeah.
And I think
okay.
Yeah. That's why yeah, and I mean, it's not easy to execute, don't get me wrong. I think it's quite hard to execute well with Falco. And it's not like you can always just know how to punish everything. And there's a lot of ambiguous situations. For example, even if you laser them, sometimes like they barely get the shine or the spot dodge out before you hit them, and then they reversal you, and then you die. Like, don't get me wrong, this stuff. And then let's say you start playing more carefully, then a lot of modern Foxes just hold shield and just spam shield. And then when you try to attack, they just shine you out of shield, and you're kind of in the same situation, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not saying it's like...
Yeah, that's...
actually easy. Oh, what were you going to say?
Nothing, I was just agreeing with you.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, you agree. And that's kind of what ends up happening, right? But I definitely recommend you, watch some Falco Fox sets kind of from this perspective and kind of see what you learn from it. Because I think being able to execute on this, like essentially being able to beat what Ryan Ford's doing here is very, very essential to being a good Falco player. Let me actually find some... Let's find some sets. Have you ever seen me vs Silent Wolf on FD? That particular game?
From Genesis 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've watched the set before, but I don't particularly remember it. Like, specifically. Actually, you know what? You went over this in an analysis a long time ago.
Yep, I did. But I'm just going to link you this specific time. Just watch it, you know, whenever you have time today or later. Watch that game. Okay. And I think you'll find it very, very interesting. Because that was one of the games where I was actually executing well and not like making mistakes in neutral. And I think you'll immediately see kind of what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Or like, I think Mango obliterated Hax at this tournament. After losing, actually.
I actually watched this one not too long ago.
Oh, really?
But I'm down to watch it again. Yeah.
I just recommend...
With what you said already?
Say what?
With what you said already, I'm down to watch it again.
Yeah. It's like... I think you should pick out the sets where some Falcos beat the Foxes really easily. Not because it's like an example of how the matchup should work, but because if it's an example of like, this is what happens when Fox is doing these things wrong, because you currently don't know how to beat these things. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Trying to think of any other particularly good ones. Mango Ice is always a good one, because he's just lasering and back airing. There are probably some really good PP sets of it. I think the PP Ryan is a great example. PP Hax is a great example. You could probably find some like... SFAT's a little weird to watch. So I don't know what I think of SFAT there.
Okay.
Oh, Prof is a good example. Professor Pro is not very strong versus Falco. I mean, he's gotten much better. I wonder if there's like a PP Prof. I feel like there's no way this set exists. Yeah, there's no way. Prof started like coming to American stuff like way after. Is there a Mango Professor Pro set? There is in PM. Great.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm sure Prof would love to hear that. He hates that people knew him for PM, by the way.
Yeah, I've heard. I've actually watched that set, and I think that's one where Mango, he does like literally 10 pillars on Snake because of the weight he is, and I don't know.
That's hilarious.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Actually, you want to know a good example? I actually think Westballs, even though he does a terrible job using the strategy we talked about to beat the Fox stuff, I actually think he's very good at beating. So essentially, the whole way Westballs' playstyle came about is he kind of like tried all the laser stuff, found that it didn't work for him, so he tried to find other ways. So Westballs actually has like a very straightforward way of beating Fox players that aren't good versus Falco. So have you ever seen a set where Westballs like absolutely obliterates like Ice or like Professor Pro or Silent Wolf or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, those sets are actually also a great example of West just being very ready to just counter the one thing he knows the Fox player is going to do. So even though I normally don't recommend watching Westballs, especially because you don't even play remotely like him, you play more of the Mango style. I think it's pretty interesting to check out. In fact, I definitely recommend checking it out.
Yeah, as long as I keep in mind that I'm looking for that one thing.
Yeah, look for like kind of this. Look for the Foxes trying to attack in ways that are like either very obvious, very linear, or it's like they're attacking in spots where they wouldn't even hit Falco if he moved out of the way, you know?
Yeah.
And look for that, and then watch how the Falco players deal with it. And don't get me wrong, I think I saw you dealing with it. But it's just a matter of you didn't deal with it in as ways that punished him as hard for it, for example, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Or sometimes you failed to deal with it and you died. For example, like, remember that time you got nared in the corner and then messed up and air dodged?
Yeah.
You literally lost your stock at like 40 or 30 trying to deal with this, right? So this is a perfect example. Let's say, for example, you're very good at dealing with this. Let's imagine, suppose that you're very good at dealing with it, and 1 or 2 times a match, you punish him extremely hard for it. 1 or 2 times a match, you punish him not that hard or you just kind of avoid it. And then 1 or 2 times a match, you try to deal with it, mess up, and then die. Because you get like Shine Gimped or you air dodge. You know, the net total of that is still like pretty good risk reward for Fox, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the issue here, is that you have to be extremely clean at dealing with it. You can't kind of mess it up. That's kind of how Fox ends up winning easily. Like, Fox can do very well in this matchup, but it's much easier for him if you just let him get near you kind of unpunished. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Cool.
Don't let him force his way into it or just flop his way into it.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure he earns it. And I think if you make sure all of Fox's openings are well earned, you will find that you will just be much better at handling Fox players.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's kind of funny because whenever I do play Fox against like just a random Falco, the way I kind of play is I just full hop at them and then I do something up close.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's obviously not a great example.
No, I think it's a great example because that's just what you do, and then it probably works just fine, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then Ryan Ford is just doing it to me, but he's way better.
Way better, with a lot more game knowledge and a lot more understanding of everything, right?
Yeah, and better punishes. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, better everything. But at the end of the day, he's actually kind of doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe you can't deal with it. Maybe you get 2 or 3 stocks, but then you throw PP in there, and then he almost 4 stocks him.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, well, he does 4 stock him. But yeah. All right, cool. Well, let's wrap up then. Feel good about everything we talked about?
Yeah, no, I've got a lot to work with here, so that's awesome.
And, keep working on the stuff we were talking about before. I think that's super important.
Yeah, I've still got a lot to digest.
It's a work in progress, right? Like you said, it felt good, but you weren't very good at it yet, right?
Yeah, I'm excited to get another video, honestly.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited too, because I think this is the first step towards moving in the right direction, because now that you get what you should be doing, now you have to get good at doing it, which is obviously not easy. Did you actually watch any of my Falco from that footage I sent you?
I watched a crap ton of it. I actually watched
I'm curious. What were your thoughts?
It's really cool to see, like it's just, I think I realize how slow I am in a lot of situations, but also it looks so much different than a lot of other Falcos that I watch.
Oh yeah,
you know,
it's super different, right?
Yeah, it's honest. It's like watching. I don't know. It's hard to describe it. It's like it's so on point when it's playing. Like it's at a range, and then you get exactly what you need, and then you just hit them and you kill them for it.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't know. It was really cool to watch. I watched the crap out of that VOD actually.
I mean, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I was just curious how you felt about it. I always feel like I tell people this, but if I'm not playing Falco at all, my Falco looks a lot like Mango's. And then once I try to play Falco more, I move further and further towards PP side. But then there comes this point where, since I'm practicing him a lot, I start gaining access to all this like super high execution. Like I'm sure you agree that my execution in the video was like quite fast, and I did a lot of things that people don't do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like that comes as I play him more, and then I sort of end up in this weird style where it's halfway between Mango and PP, but with like a lot more execution-based stuff. Like a lot more speed required to get the hits I want, a lot more like setups, a lot of like specific tech skill patterns or wavelands and stuff, right? Oh yeah, did you see the platform stuff?
Yeah, no, like I was gonna say that like it was weird because it didn't look like there was any excess movement, but it was also just really fast. Like
yeah. I'm not just doing stuff, but you saw the point of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think that's kind of like my Falco style always ends up somewhere like that. It goes through these phases of just based on like, because I think the Mango style is a style that is like the most fundamental. It's like it requires good spacing, good game understanding, and solid execution, and then you can do it. But then, like, the PP stuff gets a little bit weirder or more specific. And then, like, I think my stuff ends up even weirder and even more specific than that. And it requires, like, all this execution that allows me to do option coverages and reactions. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That actually, something else I was just going to say real quick is that doing the laser thing also really made it easier to react to, like, just anything they were doing. It's like you throw a laser and then you watch what they do. And it's, yeah.
Yep, that makes sense.
Like, you can almost see it when you were playing, like, in the VOD against, like, KJH. And
I'm sure you could absolutely see it, because I was doing it, right?
Yeah.
I think another thing to note also is that me in that VOD, actually, that was after me practicing some Falco, but almost never playing Melee. I think I hadn't played Melee in almost 2 weeks when I went over to Michigan.
Oh, wow.
So, like, that was me just warming up throughout the session. So that also says a lot. That what looks like good execution to you, I remember at the time being like, man, I wish I actually, like, played this game. So that was still me in my, I have finally practiced enough to be able to do things, but I'm nowhere near the consistency that I want to be in the speed I want to be. So, like, I would have to, that was, like, halfway there is kind of how I feel about it. So what you were seeing was me halfway to where I would want to be.
I did notice you didn't hit, I don't think you hit a single grounded double shine.
That was probably on purpose.
Really?
Yeah, I was probably doing the, did I tell you about my weird, like, grounded Westball shine thing?
I don't know if you told me about it. I actually thought you didn't like that, but...
Oh, okay, there's this weird thing I figured out. I can tell you about it later. It's like this thing I figured out that's like a better version of what Westballs does.
Okay, I'm interested to hear it then.
Yeah, I'll explain it to you. But essentially, like, I was probably trying to do that. That's my guess. Because if you sat me down right now and I hadn't played Falco for 4 months and you said do a grounded double shine, I'd be able to do it.
Okay.
So anytime I don't do it, it's usually like an explicit decision.
Okay. All right. I'll probably rewatch it then, and I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. I can actually send you a GIF. Is this it? Yeah. Look at this GIF. Well, you probably saw it, but you can click it on your screen.
Yeah.
Look how fast those are.
Yeah.
So, do you agree they look faster than Westball shines?
They do.
Okay, but you notice that's actually faster than doing double shine and wave dashing down. I'm actually doing a waveland down. I don't know if you can tell.
So you're air dodging before you hit the ground. Well, no, you always do that. So what's the difference?
I don't know, but it looks faster, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll explain it to you later. This is actually probably going to be the topic of my first like content post on Patreon, because I was really excited when I figured it out, even though it's not that important. But you can tell how fast it
Okay.
is, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm really interested.
I actually do it some versus Kalindi. You might have seen me do it, but maybe not.
I feel like I might have just seen it and thought, oh, it's Westfall's pressure or something.
Yeah, but if you pay close attention, it's like much faster, I think. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna call it a night, but have a good night, good talk, and I'll probably post this soon, but I mean, you don't have to worry about that. But thanks for letting me record, and I look forward to you either messaging me before our next lesson or just talking next week.
For sure. Thanks.
Okay, cool. Well,
Have a good night.